UDL is a standards-based curriculum design, and before you provide any options for students about what they're going to learn, how they're going to learn it, or how they're going to give it back to you, you want to dive into your standards. And so often I hear teachers say, I understand what UDL is, I understand that it's really great to give kids choices, but I teach math, or I teach writing, or I teach science, and therefore I have to have students solve equations, or write a narrative, or complete a lab project. And that's absolutely 100% true. UDL is a standards-based curriculum design. And so you always start with the standard and you look and you try to figure out what is it when I'm done with this lesson or unit that students have to know or what they have to be able to do. And then you ask yourself, what are all the possible ways that they can show me that they've actually met this standard? And it really comes down to thinking about whether your standards are content standards or method standards. And so content, for example, I want my students to know about the causes of the Civil War. I want them to know the electoral process. I want them to know about what figurative language is. There's a lot of options for how you can actually assess whether or not they know that. You could have them tell you. You could have them create some sort of children's book or a skit or an infomercial, or they could write about it, or there's a million things. And sometimes I would even say to students, you tell me, if you don't like any of these options I've given you, you tell me another way that you think you can actually meet this standard. Alternatively, sometimes there's skills. Sometimes the standard is they need to be able to solve the equations. Sometimes they have to be able to write in response to a primary source document, or they have to be able to follow the steps of a lab. And when that is true, maybe there's different options we can give them. For example, can they work together, or can they work with a small group? Can they possibly use a graphic organizer, or see an exemplar first, or work alongside the teacher? Could they write about anything that they want to write about? Or could they use some tools that you're going to give them to help them, like a math reference sheet or a sheet of transitions they can use in their writing? And so it's really all about that every standard can be personalized, and the level at which you can provide choices is going to be pretty much managed by that standard. And so the next time you look at a standard, when you're thinking about teaching a lesson, ask yourself or ask your students, is there any other way to measure this besides this one way, besides this multiple choice test, besides this essay, besides this document-based question? And sometimes you're going to find that the answer is no. I have to provide choices of how they're going to have scaffolds to be able to do this well. But a lot of the times, if you kind of dig deep, you'll find that the answer is yes.